Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show. If you like the Mike Wagner Show and you want to make your own podcast, well, let me tell you about Anchor. First of all, it's free. Secondly, there's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. You can also add any song from Spotify directly to your episodes. The possibilities are endless. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you. You can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, many more. You can also make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor FM to get started.
The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios.
Hi, this is Mia Mosensia, also known as Mia No Time for Love. Check out my latest book, Missing, available in print and ebook formats on Amazon.
It's now time for the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios and sponsored by international award-winning author Mia Mosensia of Missing. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on over 40 podcast platforms, as well as HamiltonRadio.net, Diamonds FM, and the MikeWagnerShow.com. We can be heard in over 100 countries, featuring over 1,000 well-known and amazing guests throughout the globe. And named one of the top 100 global podcasts in the New York Weekly Times, Hollywood Entertainment News, Los Angeles Weekly Times, Apple, and Chartable. So sit back and relax and enjoy another great episode of the award-winning Mike Wagner Show.
Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget, Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, time to give an official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international award-winning author Mia Mosensia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you'll love Missing by Mia Mosensia, available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is illusion and those you love will be the first go missing. It's available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Mosensia has garnered great reviews and even enjoys by how its lovers, including Joanna Cassidy, Forbes Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today for Goes Missing by Mia Mosensia, available on Amazon. Also, check out the Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com on over 40 podcast platforms, heard in over 100 countries, including Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also, Anchor FM, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, Audible, Apple Music. And coming soon to HamiltonRadio.net, Oldies FM, Diamonds Radio, and a few of the networks as well. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. And don't forget to follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. And for great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com and check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. T-shirts, pop sockets, throw pillows, tote bags, hoodies, baseball gear, and more. Makes great gifts 24/7. Go to Amazon.com and check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. And for more great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com/Mia Mosensia for great books like Missing, Once, and Wrinkles. Also T-shirts, pop sockets, hoodies, phone cases, and more. Amazon.com/Mia Mosensia. Check it out today. I'll support the Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM, PayPal, themikewagnershow.com. You can buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com at the Mike Wagner Show. Make sure you do so today. We're here with a terrific lady who is an American-born, multi-award-winning director, writer, actor, choreographer with Canadian roots based in New York City and currently in no location. We'll talk more about that. She's a classically trained ballet dancer and grew up in theater around Hartford, Connecticut. She's a multi-international film fest winner in London, Madrid, and Barcelona, and also has a new film that's out, follows the dancers as they explore an empty vintage hotel filled with a lot of memorabilia, menagerie, and a lot more that many memories that probe the depths of their shared past in creating a mirage of illusion. We'll talk about the movie Delusionné, which is the 25th anniversary part of the Dancing with Film Fest coming this Friday at 5 p.m. at the TCL Chinese Theater in Los Angeles. And speaking of Los Angeles, live from the Plus Studios in beautiful downtown LA, the very multi-talented American-born, a multi-award-winning director, writer, actor, actress, and choreographer, ladies and gentlemen, the multi-talented Breton Tyner. Breton, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, Mike. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, it's great to have you on board as well, too. So you're American-born, multi-award-winning director, actress, writer, and a choreographer as well, with a Canadian roots based in New York City. You are a classically trained ballet dancer and grew up in theater around Hartford, Connecticut. You're also multi-international film festival winner in London, Madrid, and Barcelona. And your new film, Delusionne, talks about the dancers as they explore an empty vintage hotel filled with memories that probe the depths of their shared past, and also with a mirage of illusion. That's at the 25th anniversary of the Dances with Film Fest in Los Angeles. And before getting to all that, Breton, tell us how I first got started.
So I'm doing really well today, Mike. How are you?
I'm great. And tell us how you first got started.
Well, I've been dancing probably since I was like 2 years old, but I grew up in a house that was built in 1902, filled with all kinds of antiques, and it was formerly a tuberculosis sanitarium. So I grew up around a lot of psychic energy and a lot of old items that I was playing with, whether they were from relatives or from other people in this neighborhood, historic neighborhood in Hartford, Connecticut. And I think I just was always in touch with that as a tapestry to communicate through different dimensions, but to sort of walk through time. So I spent a lot of time playing dress up as a kid. And then in the ballet world, I was very lucky to perform on large stages and live productions, often working with costumes that were quite old, and just from a different time, like really lavish productions with sets, live orchestras, and costuming. So I come from that ballet world and that education, and then was lucky to work in theater and work in Broadway as a choreographer. And I have always been a photographer my whole life. So I really fell in love with movie making when I was making shorts and trailers to promote a live show for my company, Breton Follies, that was happening on Houston Street in the Folly, a place called the Folly, actually, location, about 7-8 years ago. So that was sort of my introduction to filmmaking. I thought we would just make something that was promotional instead of doing still images. And I didn't think much about it. We had a couple trailers that were used for promotion. And then a couple years later, somebody approached my company and asked me to do a photo shoot. And I said, hey, I want to make a video instead. And so that was sort of like the jump. And that first project, Agosia, was picked up by Fred Sweet, who's the founder and producer of La Jolla International Fashion Film Festival. So again, that connection of costume, of narrative, of choreography into fashion and to filmmaking. So that's a little bit about the origins in the beginning.
That's very interesting. What was it, one precise moment that simply influenced you into what you're doing for the rest of your career?
Gosh.
In other words, light bulb moment.
If I'm not fully engaged creatively, I know that for me, I need to look further. I need to advance my skill set. I need to think about, or just go instinctively to that thing that's going to satisfy me fully. And I think there's a couple moments for me, particular when I was auditioning as a dancer, and I didn't like the choreography. I didn't like the costumes. I didn't like the music. I didn't like the music we were working with. I was very picky. I was too opinionated to be an ensemble person. And I think there were moments as a choreographer where, again, I was too opinionated about costume, about lighting, about dialogue, about tone and pacing. And in those moments, you realize that if you're going to be a good team member, you might have to place yourself in a different role. And I think that's how just sort of my natural ability for directing came to fruition, and also having opportunities where I didn't have complete teams. So I was really forced to wear all those hats, whether I was sourcing wardrobe, or I'm managing multiple personalities, or I'm doing lighting design, or whatever location scouting. So I think, but I want to give you like a juicy answer on like that one moment. There was one moment where I went to an audition. There are a couple moments I went to auditions in New York City for, I had no idea what I was showing up to audition for. And these are like well-known productions, so I won't list them here.
No, don't worry about it.
But I so clearly was in the wrong space. And I remember that they would like laugh at me, like the table of like, creatives would laugh at me when I'd get to the end of the audition, because I just so was doing my own thing. I would mess up their choreography. I wasn't dressed to look like everybody else. I totally stood out. And that was the point. And universe was telling me that I needed to follow my vision and my creative instincts and tell the stories that I need to tell. And I love directing other people's work as well, particularly for film. But I think it's also a good reminder that the passion projects can sometimes be the things that launch you. And in this case, that has been my luck and the opportunity the universe has given me.
Mm-hmm. That's certainly amazing as well, too. And you sound like a really good director as well, too. I like to have you direct some of my plays as well. If my daughter was still in ballet, I'd be more than glad to have you on that. So we have that, too. And who are some of your favorite actresses and also dancers and directors growing up?
Growing up, gosh, well, I love Sid Charisse, and she's a performer from the 40s that really, for me, she crosses all those genres, and she's in some of my very favorite films. I love Uma Thurman. I love the physicality of some of her work. I really love Pedro Almodovar's work tremendously. The Spanish and Italian cinema is probably some of my favorite across the board through the years, as well as French cinema. I also love Stranger Things. I deeply love Umbrella Academy. But I think the cinema from the 40s and the 50s is how I came to dance. I met dance through photographic images of movies and books, and I met dance by watching like musicals and variety shows on television. So that was my first exposure to it, instead of meeting it later in the theater, and that's where I sort of became to that. But so I love the opulence. I love like heavily textured films that are so dense in their ability to communicate what time period we're in and what the emotion is. Like, for example, I'm wearing red today, and for me, that immediately has an emotion, a connectivity, a way to communicate to you like what my personality is or what my energy might be like. So I think that's a little bit of taste of my favorite things. I also love Rada Blank's work. I love Shaz Bennett's work as well. I mean, there's so many people I could name.
That's very interesting. And what are some of your favorite movies growing up?
Growing up, gosh, I mean, I grew up on musicals. So I grew up on stuff like Meet Me in St. Louis, lots of Rodgers and Hammerstein. I love Chinatown. It's one of my very favorite films. It's not a film that's spoken about today necessarily, but that's one of my favorites. And I deeply and always will love Fellini's work for me.
That's really interesting too. You keep talking about wardrobe on a regular basis, and just makes me think, it's like, what was your favorite piece of wardrobe that you wore as well too, or maybe some of the more unique ones or most interesting?
I spent a lot of time not getting to wear the costumes I like as a child. And I grew up in I had a really strict, amazing ballet education. But I was not the 5'2" petite person. So I was always being like squeezed and pushed into costumes because they didn't have something that fit me often. And these costumes were from like the 70s or 60s for when people were even smaller. So it was always like, oh, let's find something that would fit her. There was never sort of like an elegant approach to dressing, what my body looks like. So I don't think I had any moments of things I really, really loved to wear, which is probably what pushed me into creating looks and worlds that I wanted to inhabit and be in. I did and do a lot of my own alterations on costumes for myself, for other people. Even like I'm looking at my wardrobe for a bunch of red carpets we have coming up. I do lots of little tweaks on things just because I have like I have broad shoulders and a very fitted waist, and I'm long, but I have a high waist. So I have unusual measurements. And I love to compliment my figure or anybody else's. And I think that really brings out the personality of the person. But there've been a couple times, I love red. It's my favorite color. There's a couple times where I got to wear like really beautiful red gowns. I did some work on the Nick. We had these custom made gowns and corsets that were incredibly beautiful to look at, totally challenging to sit and work in. But because they were authentic corsets and like gowns to the floor with a lot of weight. But I think there was sort of like a breakthrough moment for me when I started doing cabaret about 10 years ago, when I moved back to New York City. And I had a very dear friend of mine who has worked on West Side Story for years. She handed me my first pair of like character heels called Laducas. And that was so transformative for me to start dancing in heels. And then from there, I built the rest of the wardrobe, which allowed cabaret to have like excessive amounts of jewelry and to have stuff that was really sensual and opulent, red, blacks, lots of lace, lots of sort of like formality mixed with sensuality, and a very like fitted specific silhouette as well, which for me was like going from a tutu into going to like something that's more like a bustier or corset. So I think from that moment, I kind of just let myself run free with wardrobe, whether it was something I was performing in, or in New York City, everybody's performing. Everybody's got their mask on, their character that they're working. And so I think you're always on display. So from that moment, when I started doing cabaret, my wardrobe, whether it was for like meetings day to day, going to shows, or what I was wearing on stage, the two started to blend. Because when I first moved back to New York, I couldn't afford to have like casual wardrobe and a fancy wardrobe. And so the jewelry that I was like sourcing for my shows was the jewelry that was in my wardrobe. And I would build characters off of a necklace or like hats or like lace gloves I would find, or so everything started to blend, I think, to be honest. And then New York is a really great place to wear whatever you want and to express yourself however you need to. So I'm grateful for that. And also like there's just amazing vintage finds, and everybody's closets are recycling generationally there too. So I think there's really cool stuff to be found. And I was producing shows with no budgets for costume or wardrobe. So I started sourcing garments, and I'm doing them for 10-person casts, and maybe they have 5 changes in that show. And I just had a good eye for personality, for fit on the fly. When you don't have a lot of money and you don't have a ton of time, you got to be creative. So I think that's sort of built the idea of not just styling myself, but for styling other people. And then I've had the opportunity to do it for Netflix Most Channel and for Zainab Jah's directorial debut. She has a film coming out called Reunion that's going to be coming out this fall. We'll be shooting in the summer, that I'm thrilled to be on. I also got to do costume design for my dear friend Daniel Matura's film Launch in Paradise, which is just hitting the film festival circuit. They just had their premiere at Long Beach Island. They're going to be at Michoud Film Festival in July. So I think it really still stems from this place of my own sense of like freedom with personal style, and then the directorial eye to enhance whoever the subject is, to feature their face, to feature their coloring, to feature their personality, their silhouette. And I love making people look good, and I love making them feel good, because I think for performers, when they feel good, or if you feel like you're in character, you get a totally different response from that actor. And then you also get that from your environment, whether you're on the street or you're at a premiere. So I love making people feel good, especially through costume or wardrobe.
That's amazing as well, too. That's a really amazing story. And I can see why you're wearing red. You're getting ready for the premiere of your movie Delusionné as well, too. We'll talk about that. But first, listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@SonicWebStudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, time to give official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson-Zia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you'll love Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is illusion and those you love will be the first go missing. It's available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Molson-Zia has garnered great reviews and even loved and enjoyed by Hollywood celebrities, including Joanna Cassidy, Forbes Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today for Goes Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon. Also, check out the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com on over 40 podcast platforms, heard in over 100 countries. Also on HamiltonRadio.net, Diamonds FM, Oldies Radio, and a few more coming near you. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Don't forget to follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. And for great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com and check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. And for more great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com/Mia Molson-Zia for great books, merchandise, and more. I'll support the Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM, PayPal, the MikeWagnerShow.com, and buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com at the Mike Wagner Show. Make sure you do so today. We're here with American-born, multi-award-winning director, writer, actress, and choreographer Breton Tyner here on the Mike Wagner Show. And before we talk about your upcoming your film Delusionné over at the 25th annual Dances with Films Fest at the Chinese Theater TCL, that's on this Friday at 5 p.m. You also been in other features like Billions, also Divorced, the Nick, and also Studio City, and Manhattan, Love Story, Gossip Girl, and more. Manifest, and tell us about some of the appearances and what was it like?
I'm really grateful to have been on. We were shooting Manifest and Gossip Girl early this, I would say, like February into the spring, and just coming out of the past couple years. I was grateful to be on set. I think everybody was, and it was thrilling to be back, sort of in a role as like a detective in a cop drama, because I literally walked off set, on March, I guess 15th, 2020, playing those roles, and I've been lucky to be back on set probably by December 2020. But I wore all kinds of hats in pandemic, all different kinds of things that I did on set. So just to be back on set as an actor for me is like such a sweet spot. I've been a performer my whole life. I've been probably performing since I was like, I don't know, 3 or 5 years old, and I was lucky to grow up performing in like huge opera houses, and I had access to that part of myself and to share that with a large audience at a time. So getting to perform for me is like, it's like it's like a holiday for me. It's like vacation, which might sound crazy, but I get to just take a break from all the other hats I wear, and I can just channel what that character is. And I literally get to play and be in conversation with other actors. And, as a director, I'm used to wearing a lot of other hats. and having sort of like a bird's eye view while being like microscopic about details, about managing people on schedules and like making sure things match in terms of continuity. So it's fun to be in the middle of the organism as an actor and to appreciate all the teams as they rotate around and work together. And I think part of that too was just the incredible spirit of New York City and the speed with which we were able to, I mean, speed is such a, I don't know, relative term, I guess, but what appeared to be like speed to really getting back to working on sets and having like full sets of people there. And I just, I I say this in interviews and I don't know what people will think of it, but I get to take a break from being myself when I act. And it is like the greatest luxury for me. It's far easier for me to be a role than to be myself. And I think part of that is growing up in ballet world, where as a performer, I wasn't speaking. I wasn't in a highly verbal space or arena. And so it took years for me to be comfortable to like speak as myself. And that came through like teaching and then directing. And now I'm like quite comfortable doing it. But there were times where like I was in ballet school and I would often do impersonations of like my very famous, very non-American ballet teachers. So they're total characters like their heyday was like the 70s and the 60s. So their color palettes are different. They're still wearing makeup from the 70s or wearing clothing from the 70s. Most of them are English is not their first language, and they come from a different culture. And so that was right for me to do like impersonations. But I also grew up watching like In Living Color and Jim Carrey.
Oh my gosh, that was my favorite. That was pretty much the groundbreaking for a lot of the celebrities. Jim Carrey, and I think you had the Wayans brothers, and I think you had was it Jamie Foxx, and there was also quite a few others. It's like just so many have come out of there, just like Saturday Night Live, Monty Python, and all the comedy troupes, Saturday Night Live, Second City, and everything. And that genre, I think, was the latest to just spur the careers of many great people.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much talent that came through those shows, and I just think I grew up watching that, and that just like there's a fast pace, there's an exaggeration, almost a cartoonish quality, a theatrical quality. There's a lot of like Canadian comedians that came through those shows as well, and so I grew up with that like exaggerated visual of a performative, expression, whether it's in a character or just like a media personality. So I think that's definitely influenced for me, and I'm often asked to either play a sort of like straight-laced cops that are toned down, but I can't quite speak about it right now, but there are some more comedic roles and opportunities that are coming that I'm really excited about, because they just suit my personality and my desire to really share positivity with people and to entertain them, and to do something that's a little bit outrageous and atrocious, which is the same thing as me like doing impersonations of my ballet teachers like behind their backs for other students like in class, trying to get a laugh and trying to break this very, very serious sort of esoteric environment that it sometimes can be like totally destructive. It just needs a little bit of a slap and some joy in it. So I think, I love to transfer the energy in a room, however, to a positive space, or a space that allows people to think about that there's more that's possible for them as individuals, and there's more that's possible for us as a collective consciousness to move forward in a positive way. And I think laughter is an immediate way for us all to connect, like regardless of like age, gender, language, location. Laughter, I mean, there's different tones to humor based on culture, but I think humor and a smile can go a long way.
It certainly does too. And what was your favorite role in a particular show, or any show? What was your favorite role?
Oh gosh. I'm going to give you like a terrible answer and say, I don't have one yet. I'm open. I'm open to many more coming. I did get to have this really fun moment in like, I think it was fun just because my scene partner was just so kind and so lovely. And this was on Billions, where we're jumping out of like these they're like multiple SUVs like approaching this sort of like containment truck, and there's like helicopters landing, and my scene partner is probably 6'6" or 6'7", and like I'm like 5'9", 5'10". So in some worlds I'm tall, but in that world I was very small, and we have the same amount of like tactical gear being props on us, and I didn't think I would like be able to walk, and I've been a dancer my whole life. I didn't think I'd be able to walk with that much like ammo on my body. And he just gave me this very kind of sweet smile. And so, we probably did like 25 takes where we're jumping out the car and like rushing this plane. And that was pretty cool, because I didn't know until we got through rehearsals if I would be able to handle like all these prop guns and other stuff. And that was a really cool moment.
It sounded like it would have been next Rambo the way it was projected. So that'd been pretty fun.
Yeah, I mean, it was wild too because it was a huge scene. So the timing and the specificity of cueing and choreography was like really important because you have like safe. You need to like do the safety. All these vehicles like approaching this like containment space, and we were shooting in like an airplane hangar. So it was a vast space, and it was towards dusk too. So you just have like you have all these like flashing lights, and it's pretty dark. And yeah, it was a huge scene. It was a lot of fun. I think too, also I loved, there's some amazing ballroom scenes on the Nick. And I think, again, this just speaks to my appetite for directing, where I got to watch Steven Soderbergh not only shoot the scenes and film them himself, but direct them. And watching him do one takes through like 6 ballrooms in the Nick was just incredible. And watching his brain on display and how he handled everybody. And like, that was a very calm set actually, even though it had, I mean, there must have been like at least 100 people in that scene.
Wow.
But that was a really magical moment. And watching, because for me, I'm just watching him choreographed as he's choosing to go, take the camera high and low and circling all of these ballrooms. And he was adamant that it was going to be one take. And I just thought that was so brilliant to watch all that come together.
That had to be very brilliant as well, too. And you also have a brilliant production as well, too, called Delusionne, coming up at the 25th anniversary Dance with Film Fest this Friday at 5 p.m. at the TCL Chinese Theater. And tell us more about the film as well, too. Finally, the dancers as explore an empty vintage hotel, filming memories that probe the depths of their shared past and creating a mirage of illusion. Tell us more about that.
Sure. So Delusionne is about dissociation and memory loss, and it's sort of about two people walking through each other's lives, whether you perceive it to be a romantic relationship or just two people passing in the night, and each person's perception and what's the truth of what happened, and is one person dissociating or both people, and what it's like to deal with someone who has like a vast amount of mental illness, and how that really can color someone else's perception of them and what the truth actually is. I think especially in a digital age, we live with this all the time about what is the quote unquote truth, and is that someone's opinion, is that someone's perspective? But I think all of us have our own experiences, and at some point we have to say they're all valid. But I think the line of reality can be quite thin, especially in a digital sphere. So it plays a lot on that, and I was very much inspired by that space. It's a railroad space, so it's quite long, and you walk through from one room to the next, it completely changes. So it really feels like you're just moving into a different world, even though there's a great continuity of like a 1948 speakeasy is the feel of this space. And we were just like really lucky to shoot there. This space has like since been closed almost immediately through pandemic, and we shot right before. So I feel very lucky that we got to work in that space. And I built all the costume designs for this and choreography that's sourced from some work from my company, Breton Follies. And some of it was also like new material, but I have to thank our DP, Michael J. Burke. The film just wouldn't exist without him, and it wouldn't exist without Fei Chao, who did the music. They're both incredible artists, and they're very intuitive people. So we're able to work in that space and that sphere together, and to build something and say, okay, well, this is how we started out. This is what we're walking away with, and this is what it's going to look like in post. And they were just so willing for that evolution of the project to move through and develop, instead of sort of saying, well, okay, that's what we wrote and that's what we thought it was going to be, and we're going to stick to it. They're both very much open to it growing and expanding into what it is now. So yeah, it's we shot that film in 5 hours. So
Wow.
it was a push. But that's Michael Burke. That's just Michael Burke moving so quickly and so efficiently with his mind, let alone his body. And there's a mirrored hallway that's sort of mirrored 3D floor to ceiling, which is like really challenging for a camera operator, because we're trying to make sure he's not in the shot. And he just went take after take with me, because I knew it was going to be a really, really fantastical sweet spot of a visual for us to capture. And I don't know, maybe he lost his patience with me once or twice, but he went for it. And he's like, I didn't say that he did, but who knows? I'm not going to speak for him. He's amazing. But he's like, that's his favorite section of the film. And so I think what's so awesome about it is like working with people that trust me and trust my vision and trust me to let it evolve, and that I'm open to it shifting and adjusting as it moves forward. And I think that's what makes the best sort of, what you say, art, I want to say product, but that's what's going to make the best film or expression, is being open to it shifting and adapting, and not being sort of rigid about, well, we started here, so we need to stay there. So yeah, that's a little bit about Delusionne. That's going to be at Dances with Films this coming Friday.
And how'd you first get involved with the film?
Well, so the film's my baby. So I'm like the executive producer, director, choreographer, actor. But initially I had just come off of La Jolla International Fashion Film Festival, my first film festival in July of 2019. And then I had gone on to Madrid where my film Raise had won. And I was like brand new to the festival circuit. I didn't really know what to expect. I certainly didn't expect, I think I was going to win. And the producers of these film festivals said, we really like your work and we want to see you back next year with something
nice.
better. And they said, get to work. And they were very serious with me about that, about the jump. And I had just like been exposed to all these other films from all over the world. And I could see what I really liked and what I thought was working, what wasn't. And that just shaped my aesthetic and my drive. But I went back to New York City and I go, well, okay, we don't have a huge budget. And what are we going to film before October, end of November, if we want to shoot outside? And we just lucked out with that location. There's a film that we actually shot before that called Invicta with Michael J. Burke. We shot about like a month before, late September, that's going to be having its world premiere this July, actually back at La Jolla International Fashion Film Festival. And so we shot that film. And then the idea with Delusione initially was to have it be sort of like a triad location as a part of another film. And we kept shooting with Michael, and the projects that we made were so rich and so diverse that I decided to make Delusione its own thing. It deserved that. Its aesthetic was like so specific. The colors were so specific. The location was, and right before we shot, we were supposed to have 3 actors involved. I wasn't actually really intending to be like a part of this film. And one of my main performers, he had to fly to Minnesota for like a family sort of illness situation. And I think he like might've called me that morning and was just like, I'm so sorry, it's 7 a.m. I'm on a plane. I love you. We'll figure it out. Bye. And I was like, like blessings, take care of yourself and your family. So we went in sort of like under the gun already with like 2 performers, 1 performer down. And that really shaped it away from this triad idea and into its own thing that lived in that space. And we shot it pretty quickly. There aren't any, you won't see any other characters. There's no sort of like, there's no real-time stuff. So it gives this really like creepy suspension of time feeling in there. And like, there's some windows with light coming in, but there's not a lot of natural light. So we really played on that and just kind of let the space, it's an old space on the Upper West Side in Manhattan, let it speak for itself. And I can only imagine all the energies that have been there. So yeah.
That certainly is amazing too. What's coming out for Breton Tyler? We'll find out just 1 minute. You listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Also brought to you by official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson-Zia Missing, available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. We'll be back with the amazing American-born, multi-award-winning director, writer, actress, and choreographer Breton Tyner with Delusione after this time out.
The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention the Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Hey everybody, my name is Forbes Riley and I'm an American actress and a TV host. And I was delighted when I got my copy of Missing, which is Extraordinary Relation of Ordinary People based on a real life relationship. It's well written. It's amazing. It talks about a man who has lost his wife and his daughter, and it's very well done. I'm going to highly recommend that you go get your copy of Missing. It is a powerful, exciting read. Mr. Mian Moshe-Zia. He is the author of Missing. And I want to give a big shout out and a kiss all the way halfway around the world to my dear friend. Check him out at Mia's website. It's called www.miamotionzea.com. Missing, available on Amazon. Again, I'm Forbes Riley, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Hey, this is Ray Powers, and boy, are you in luck. Right place, right time. Tuned in to the Mike Wagner Show. You heard me.
We're back with Breton Tyner, the award-winning, American-born, multi-award-winning director, writer, actress, choreographer, of Delusionais on the Mike Wagner Show. And it's great to know about your film. It's coming up at the Chinese Theater, TCL, on the Friday the 17th as well, 25th anniversary. And what else can we expect from you in 2022 and beyond?
Thanks so much, Mike. So I'm thrilled to be in pre-production right now on my pilot, I Dream of Hazel, which is a pilot to series. It's about a person who people think is mentally ill, but is really psychic. And it plays on the themes of dissociation and memory loss. And this person ultimately becomes a detective of time as they solve crimes running back and forth through many dimensions. So that's, we're in pre-production. I was actually just on this morning with my line producer who's in New York. And you know, we're going to be going into production, hopefully the end of June, shooting on that. So I'm thrilled to be teaming up with Michael Burke again, who is the DP actually on Delusionais as well. So working on that and looking to develop that into a series. And it's pretty much a predominantly New York cast, a New York team. And I was looking to do sort of my feature film directorial debut. People are like, where's the feature? Where's the feature? And I, you know, Michael and I had kind of a artistic jam session together, and I'd had like a couple other projects that I was set to direct. Other people's projects had fallen through, and I was like, so what do I do? And he's like, well, you do your own thing, you tell your story. And he was right. And you know, I took that to heart. A day later, I went back and I was like, okay, so I wrote it, and he was like, okay, all right, got you moving, we're going. But it was clear to me that this character, Hazel Wentworth, was not to be confined by a feature, and that there's just so many stories that I had to tell. So that's why we went for like pushing it towards a pilot and a series that I think just allows it to compound and expand. And the more people that join the team can run with that idea as well. Collaboration is like really at the core of my passion for movie making. And I'm always inspired by the people that I get to work with that elevate an idea or bring their expertise. I love working with people that do things I don't do. Like, I have less passion and desire to work with people that like come, you know, just from a dance background or just want to do costume design. So I'm always like really moved by musicians, by cinematographers, by painters. I deeply love people that can do numbers. I love my line producers that can do numbers and can deal with my creative ways and be like super organized about things. And I have much respect for people that are like exceptional producers, that are better producers than I am. I can push to get things done, but they have incredible skill in terms of creating structure. So yeah, that's what's going on. I Dream of Hazel. So keep an eye out for that.
We certainly will do so. And who do you consider biggest influence in your career?
Ooh, I'm like all the ghosts that harassed me when I was growing up. All those ghosts in that old 1902 house. There's a very special person named Elizabeth Dawson, who was a dancer and has had many other roles beyond that. And I think she was one of the first people that really encouraged me to listen to my intuition. And I met her when I was in San Francisco, and we're great, great friends. And she actually made it possible for Delusionais to be finished in the editing process, along with a number of my other films. She's always just encouraged me to be me and to really use my intuitive gifts. And I think, you know, she's not in the film sphere. She's not particularly in the dance sphere, but she's a very magical, holistic person. And I think she's had a profound effect. My father also put a camera in my hand, probably before I could remember, but from like a very young age. And photography was part of how we connected. And I think, you know, it wasn't a relationship where we were necessarily speaking a lot, but we were speaking through image and what we saw in the world, and appreciation for nature, for architecture, for music, for culture. And I think that's also at the core of me as a filmmaker. But I think, you know, J-Lo kind of said it best recently, like, thank you to all the people that said no to me. Thank you to all the people that tried to stop me. Thank you to all the people that tried to sabotage projects. Those moments, those contentious moments are so valuable in that they show you what you want to do and how hard you're going to work to go and get it, or to just really instantly realize that this person doesn't get you, and that is totally fine, and to completely let it go, to not put any energy in that direction, and to walk towards exactly what you want to make. I always find, and I would say this to anybody of any age, just as a moment and a point of inspiration, that people love to celebrate what I do after I finish it or after it's successful. And when I'm sort of like in the moment, there are very few people before it's like fully formed. There's very few people that really are like, oh, we think that's great, Brett. And what are you talking about? And Michael Burke is one of them who totally, I think, understands and sees my gifts and understands sort of like what my gestation process is to making things. So I would definitely say Elizabeth Dawson, my dad from a young age. Michael Burke is one. Also, I mean, I had an amazing ballet teacher. Her name's Alla Osopenko. She codified the curriculum with Vaganova in Russia in the 50s, and she's still alive today. She was tough on us. She was so tough and so loving, and didn't speak a lot of English in ballet class. And I worked with her probably for like 7-8 years. I was really lucky to do that. But she worked with us tirelessly. And I don't think she loved the fact that we were Americans. I don't think she thought, I don't know if she thought very highly, at least for, when we were training in class, I don't think she thought very highly of us. After class, it was all love and hugs and, only eat lettuce and skip the cookies but there were these moments of like such passion and drive. And when I was working with her, she was in her 60s, and I'm watching this woman with like just incredible fashion, humility, grace, and ingenuity. This is a person who like had lost her son. She's living in the States. She's completely removed from her culture. And I think that ingenuity and that will and drive to maintain a standard, there's nothing like that when it's instilled in you in ballet school. So that's sort of like a little bit of a run of the mill of things, but I think it's just important to make what you want to make and to just keep pushing forward on that, and to not be too deterred by other people's inability to grasp it. And you never know how high something's going to go and who it's going to reach. And I think sometimes it's not necessarily about the accolades, but it's about who you inspire with what you're making.
And that's a really good point as well, too. Very amazing. What's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
Oh, I would say have a blast as much as you can. It's an interesting world, especially these days. And I would just reiterate, make the art that you want to make, do what you want to do in this life with respect to others, and just be aware that us following our own paths and our passions can have a huge and profound effect on inspiring others.
That's certainly amazing. Once again, we're with the amazing American-born, multi-award-winning director, writer, actress, choreographer, Breton Tyler of Delusion and the Mike Wagner Show. Breton, a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely fantastic. Looking forward to having you again soon. Make sure you keep us up to date, keep in touch. Love to have you back, and wish you all the best. And once again, touch a bunch of upcoming projects. What's your website? How do people contact? Where can people check out your works and check out the movie?
Thanks so much, Mike. So you can check out Delusion having its Los Angeles premiere at the Chinese Theater with Dances with Film's 25th anniversary this Friday, June 17th at 5 p.m. There's just a few tickets left, so be sure to grab those. You can find those on any of my social media platforms. I'm Breton Tyner-Bryan on Instagram. We're also Breton Follies NY, and you can follow Delusion _the film _ on Instagram. Keep an eye out for I Dream of Hazel. And if you're feeling like you're a donor, you want to just be a part of that project, hit me up and we'd love to have a conversation with you.
We will certainly do so. Once again, Breton, a very big thank you for your time. You've been totally amazing. Learned a lot from you. Looking forward to having you again soon. Make sure you keep us up to date, keep in touch. Love to have you back. We wish you all the best, and you definitely have a great future ahead of you.
Thanks so much, Mike. Thanks for having me. It's been awesome.
The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention the Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Hey everybody, my name is Forbes Riley, and I'm an American actress and a TV host. And I was delighted when I got my copy of Missing, which is Extraordinary Relation of Ordinary People based on a real life relationship. It's well written. It's amazing. It talks about a man who has lost his wife and his daughter, and it's very well done. I'm going to highly recommend that you go get your copy of Missing. It is a powerful, exciting read. Mr. Mian Moshe Zia. He is the author of Missing. And I want to give a big shout out and a kiss all the way halfway around the world to my dear friend. Check him out at Mia's website. It's called www.miamotionzea.com. Missing, available on Amazon. Again, I'm Forbes Riley, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to The Mike Wagner Show. Brought to you by international award-winning author Mia Mohsen Zia of Missing. And powered by Sonic Web Studios. Be sure to join us again on over 40 podcast platforms. And of course, on the MikeWagnerShow.com, HamiltonRadio.net, and Diamonds FM. Don't forget to support our program with a generous donation at the MikeWagnerShow.com. Thanks for listening.